Hey, it's Brock here with Uncommon Aquatics, and today we're setting up a different kind of fish tank. Not just a new setup, but something that not a lot of people show on YouTube. It's not a very popular part of the hobby, I guess you would say, but I love it, and that is a Brackish Aquarium. And I'll give you the quick speech in case you're not familiar with brackish. You have freshwater fish, you have saltwater fish, and where freshwater runs into saltwater, there's an area where it mixes. That area is called brackish. It's low salinity saltwater. And only a select group of fish really do well in brackish water. And they're very unique fish. It's kind of like the saltwater fish are have more variety, more interesting, more color pop. And you get a little bit of that with the brackish fish. But keeping them is more like keeping freshwater fish, other than the fact you can't really keep plants with them. So I have 3 of my all-time favorite fish in these 3 bags. We're going to make sure our salinity is right on this tank. This tank needs some work. I haven't, done a hardscape in it or anything else. The glass needs cleaned. We're going to do some work to it, but right now I want to focus on the fish that we're adding. They've been in the bags a while already. I want to get them in the water and get them swimming. Let's start with the salinity. The first fish we're going to add is called a mono. There are 2 main types of monos. I believe this is more the traditional. The other one is called a sabe. I've had both. The sabe has like black striping on it. Now, this fish gets pretty big, and it can be kept in full salt water. It cannot be kept in fresh, but it can be kept brackish or full salt. All right, there he goes. That's a pretty good size, fish to buy them at. Usually when you buy them, they're going to be a lot smaller than that. They're a super fast swimmer. They've got beautiful coloration. Their mouths don't get very big. They've got a little bit of that angelfish shaped body, but to me, they're a lot more fun fish to watch. They're more kind of aggressive in the way they move. This next one is kind of a crazy fish. This is called an archer. And I've kept archers before, but they have a very special characteristic that no other fish has. So if you literally just think about the name archer, that tells you basically everything you need to know. They are able to shoot at their prey, and what that means is, I've done this before, and I'll do it again. I'll demonstrate it with this fish. I could let the water level halfway down and then hang like branches or webbing or something across here and put insects on it. He will sit down here in the water and spit at those fish, and he has special eyes that allow him to adjust for the refraction and the distortion that you get in angles from seeing through water and seeing out of the water. And he can use that dual phase eye, whatever you want to call it, to actually aim out of the water. And he'll knock his prey down into the water by shooting spit at it with incredible accuracy. And then the last one is a green spot puffer. I love these little guys. I call them like little hummingbirds of the aquarium. The way they move is not like any other fish. They kind of hover, and they're completely fearless. Even if they're dramatically smaller than the other fish in the aquarium, they're very much fearless. Now, the puffer has little teeth, and it can eat things like snails. It can crunch up their shells. And as tiny as that guy is, that's a predator. And hopefully these 3 will get along and coexist. There are a lot of other species that are brackish that I could consider adding to this, but for now this will be a good starting point with these 3 and see how they do. Now, I actually said I was going to show you testing the salinity, and I didn't get that on camera. I've tested it, and I know we're close. Saltwater fish will be kept in a salinity of 1.025 and higher. But basically, 1.020 is the end of brackish, and 1.025 would be salt water. But I generally have kept my saltwater tanks. You can see we've got this device here. I believe this is called a refractometer, but it measures the salinity of water. And I still got stuff on the tip of it, but it's showing 1.000, and we just dip that in the water, and that'll jump up and give us a reading of 1.004. Below 1.004 is still really fresh water. Most aquarium fish can live in 1.004, although they're probably better to not have that much salt. The majority of freshwater fish can live in a little bit of salt. Brackish really ranges from 1.005 up to 1.020. So between 5 and 20 parts per million salt. Now, I don't know the exact salinity these fish were kept at, and they may have been kept at different salinities. But people worry too much about quickly changing the salinity because these fish will swim up into the river where it's very low salinity and back out to the ocean, and they can handle rapid changes in salinity. And there's a term for it, and I'm forgetting what that's called, but there is a type of fish that is very adaptable. I mean, it's brackish water fish, but there's another term for being able to handle rapid changes in salt in salinity. Now, this is a fully cycled tank, and the bacteria that you need to cycle a freshwater tank is the same as the bacteria for a brackish water tank. So converting between freshwater this morning and brackish water today does not require you to cycle the aquarium again. It is still just as cycled as it was. I've taken some tank water and scooped into this bucket. Now I'm just going to add a handful of Instant Ocean to the green bucket and stir it around until it's dissolved, and then pour it back in. There's more scientific ways, but what I've normally done is I just add a handful to this bucket at a time when I do a water change and keep adding it and testing it till I get the right salinity. Now, in the past, I didn't have a refractometer, a digital one. You can get an analog refractometer where it's just like a little floating pointer, and those work, but this is so much more accurate. And when I used those in the past, I always felt like I was just guessing on the salt. Now with this, I should be able to get a routine down. If I keep this brackish tank going for a long time, I should be able to get a routine down where I know exactly how much salt to add. Alright, now I'm going to pour this freshly mixed salt water right in here. And that cloud of white, the tendency would be to worry about it if you didn't know, but that does not bother them. They really don't care. Because the amount of salt in there did not dramatically raise the salinity of this aquarium. It's 90% dissolved out of that handful of salt instead of 100% dissolved. Okay, so it's been about 24 hours since I added the fish. The mono is super active. It's one reason I really like the monos. You know, they've got a nice splash of color, an interesting shape, and they move very quickly. They get to be pretty good size too. The puffer seems happy and healthy. I've been feeding them bloodworms last night and this morning. And the archer will hide right up here for about half the time, and then he'll come out and eat. So let's put a little bit of flake food in there. See if they have an interest in that. I've already fed them a couple times today, so they might not. These are just such a cool fish, though. Thinking maybe the archer's getting chased a little bit by the mono, and that's why he was up there. Yeah, the mono is one of the fastest fish I've ever kept. And this plant right here, I forgot I had, that's a mangrove tree. I'd like to get a bunch of those mangrove trees. They grow in brackish water, and you can grow them from your substrate up out of the top. They do best if they're growing with the leaves sticking up, but I'm going to see how it'll do fully submerged. Yeah, they're definitely liking that flake food. I don't think the puffer will eat it, but I'm not sure. So we're getting the fish established in here, but this is not how this tank is going to look. I don't love the gravel. I don't love the blue color. I really don't like this fake decoration that came with it. We'll end up with some kind of a hardscape or an aquascape in here eventually. So I really appreciate you taking time to watch the video. I'll put links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.